All right, this is going to be the first video for Notes 85, which is on special right triangles. So in this video, we're going to talk about the special right triangle that's the 45, 45, 90. And there's a little line here that talks about, it says the legs are equal in length, and the hypotenuse is root 2 times longer or larger than the legs. So you might be thinking to yourself, what does that mean? Well, in a generic, it kind of shuffles all over the place. I'm going to draw a little right triangle here. Maybe slow down and speak all the right words there. Okay, so we have a 45-degree angle and another 45-degree angle. So the legs, what are the legs? Well, the legs are the two sides of the triangle that form the right angle. So those two are the legs, and the legs are supposed to be the same thing. So whatever one of them is, the other one is the same thing. So if this is 7, hey, guess what? That's 7. If this is 3,412,000, this is also 3,412,000. Made up a number. Okay, so once we know those two, the hypotenuse is the longest side, right? It is the side opposite the right angle. When in doubt, turn your right angle symbol into an arrow, and it will literally point across the triangle to the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is 2 times larger than the leg. So the leg was x, and I'm going to multiply that by root 2. So that's the relationship between any 45, 45, 90 right triangle. And it only applies if you have a 45, 45, 90 right triangle. So we have this one up at the top here. And I have labeled this edge right here as 9. Well, guess what? That's a leg. So this leg is going to be the exact same thing. Hey, look, it's 9. And then once I know that, this is 9 and this is 9, that hypotenuse is going to be 9 root 2. And I now figured out the sides of your triangle. So as long as you know one side, and it doesn't matter which side, but any side of a 45, 45, 90, you can always find the other two. So let's go ahead and apply these to a couple problems here. Okay. So in problem number 1 here, it specifically says find the hypotenuse. So I've given you the legs. We have a 2 here and a 2 here, which means for the hypotenuse, I want to take those legs and multiply them times root 2. So 2 root 2. And that's done. So for these problems, it's a little bit hard to show work. I mean, if you want to make a little note here, times root 2, great. Do that for yourself. Okay. If I slide on over, there's another triangle right here. This time the sides are labeled 4 and 4. So that hypotenuse is going to be 4 root 2. It is always a root 2. One of the things that helps me remember it is the two legs are the same. So this makes me think like, okay, this is one number. And then the second number, right, there's 2 distinct values that you use for 45, 45, 90. The 4s that you use for the legs, and then the 4 root 2, the second measurement that you use for the hypotenuse. All right, so those two are done. The bottom part here, number 2, is just find the missing side. So I'm going to give you one side. We got to find the other 2. All right, so first triangle here, I have my legs, right? Here is a leg, here is a leg. Oh, look, one of the legs is labeled, great. So that other leg is gonna be the exact same thing. And the hypotenuse is going to be 3 times root 2. All right, so 3 root 2 there, and that's done. Okay, if I move on over to the second triangle, again, I've shifted the picture a little bit. But if I look for the legs, that might help me figure things out. All right, leg here. Clearly, I don't have either of the legs, but I do have the hypotenuse. Now, one of the things I'll sometimes do here is if I'm unsure, I'll do those labels that I did in the very first picture. So x root 2, right? That's the relationship for any of these 45, 45, 90s. So one of the things I can do then is take this side that I gave to you and the label I know it's supposed to equal and just make a little equation out of that for myself. So 8 root 2 is equal to x root 2. So to get x by itself, I'm going to divide by root 2, of course. All those root 2's cancel, and I'm left with x is equal to 8. Well, if x is equal to 8, these sides that are labeled x, I can go ahead and say, well, that's 8 and that's 8. Okay? And if that helps, great. I do these labels all the time. All right, especially because sometimes a little bit less obvious, that's the word I want to use, obvious what the other sides are going to be. All right, sliding over last problem here. We've got another, again, 45, 45, 90. So I've got a leg here, and this time again, I'm given the hypotenuse. So let's go ahead and label what I know. I know that's supposed to be x, that's supposed to be x, and of course, x root 2. Now, this is definitely one of those less obvious. No, this is not a typo. All right, I've had students in the past who are like, wait a minute, it's supposed to have a root 2. No, this is just supposed to be a length that if I took the leg and I multiply it times root 2, I get this number. That's all that is. So I'm going to do exactly what I did in the last problem. I'm going to make myself a little equation. So 6 is equal to x root 2. I'm going to, of course, divide to solve for x. Divide by root 2, divide by root 2. And unfortunately, I am not a huge fan of 6 over root 2 as an answer. I want to do what's called rationalizing this. So to rationalize, we're going to multiply by whatever root I have in the denominator. In this case, a root 2. I'm going to multiply it times itself. Okay, let's see what happens here. Oh, and by the way, when you do that, right, when you multiply in the denominator, you also need to multiply in the numerator. So 6 root 2 over, now in the denominator, those root 2's don't disappear. It's just that now you have 2 of them being multiplied. So that's going to be root 2 squared. We've done this in a little bit. It's been a little while since we've done this, but a root and a power that are identical, square root and squared, are identical to each other. Those are going to cancel each other out. So I've got 6 root 2 over 2 is equal to x. And I write huge. I know it is shocking to all of you who watch my videos. I'm going to slide that up a little bit. So I want to simplify that fraction now. So 6 root 2 over 2 is going to be 3 root 2 for us. So we know what x is. So here's x, here's x. Each of those sides is going to be 3 root 2 and a 3 root 2 here. And just for good measure, I will highlight both of them to compare it to my mess off to the side there of all my work. All right, so that's going to be the end of this video for figuring out 45, 45, 90s. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me, and I will see you in the next video.